Hey guys, welcome to Spirit Pig. This is the show that explores how to live a fulfilled life. I'm Duncan CJ, and today I'm talking to Atuksha Poonwassie. Now, there are two main reasons why I wanted to bring Atuksha on the show today. Firstly, I think she's just a hugely inspiring person and has like really great, amazing outlook and approach to life. And secondly, I think she's an incredible example of what can be achieved by someone when they really commit and take action. I met Atuksha literally just over 2 years ago, and at the time she was busy working away, just trying to earn a living with her work. And however, in the last 24 months, she has achieved so much. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, this is off the top of my head, okay? So I think she's created an app. She's the founder of a peer-to-peer funding platform. She's written a book. She's bought 7 properties. She's spent time in Africa. She's piloted. She's flown planes. And that's off the top of my head. So, I mean, I'm sure there's so much more I'm forgetting. Like, we have a little mastermind thing where we chat every few weeks. And every single time, she's just set up another business or done something. And she puts us all to shame. But Atuksha, thank you for being here.
Oh, it's really good to be here. Thanks, Duncan, for inviting me.
What's your secret?
Just have fun. In a nutshell, it's, if you do something that you really love doing, then it doesn't feel like work or hard work or anything like that. You're chasing your passion, and for me, that's what it's about.
That was a topic or a theme that I wanted to actually talk to you about. This idea of fun, because I mentioned these businesses, and I know that you work unbelievably hard, but you're often I might call you one time and you've got back-to-back meetings all day, but I'll call you the next day and you've just been flying over the Channel Island, and there's this constant idea of you bring this enthusiasm and fun into everything you do. And you went to Africa. There was another trip, I think, somewhere. But is this idea of fun? I mean, is it crucial to everything you do?
Absolutely. For me, it's about, I love my businesses and I do work hard when I work hard or when I work. But for me, it's also about making sure that you have that balance.
Yeah.
Because if you're just constantly working and not doing anything for you and developing yourself or chasing your hobbies and your dreams or traveling, whatever you love to do, then it gets to a point where you think, well, why am I actually doing it? And so I've always had, hobbies. Some are a bit more challenging than others, like my flying, but I absolutely love it. And if I'm going to do something, so when I do fly or when I do travel or whatever else, I'm not actually thinking about work either. So it's being in the moment and doing whatever you want to do and do to the best of your ability.
That's really interesting, the idea of, so when you're playing or when you're working or when you're flying, I think flying, obviously you need to be really, really present. That's a bad example. Okay, if you're not being present then you're into a lot of trouble. But whenever you do this, you are there. That's the focus, is it?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
And do you think, because it's easy, because I mean it's not easy, but it's in this idea of, a lot of time where it's that work-life balance. And I guess if you love what you do, then there doesn't need to be this one or the other. But this is a random point. But I think often when we come back from work, or people got their Blackberries or their iPhones and they're checking emails last thing at night or first thing in the morning, it's that you can never properly turn off or relax.
Yeah, and actually it's difficult to do, especially in this day and age, because everything is electronic, everything's instant. People expect instant answers for everything. But actually, is it going to make a massive difference if you reply to an email 3 or 4 hours after it comes in? Probably unlikely. But, it's having the differentiation that's really important at this point, because otherwise you can be available all the time and people will expect it. And it's not necessary, in my view. Nothing is so important that it can't wait a few hours. So I do make a point, sometimes when I go out, I won't take my phone with me, but I'll do that on purpose because it can wait. There's no need for me to actually take it with me, because then I will be thinking about it.
Yeah. One thing which, I know we've talked about previously in the past, but whether we're talking about, in this instant, you're talking about business, but anything that you turn your hand to, anything that you want to be successful in, I know that obviously mindset is absolutely crucial. I mean, we often focus on, the business or the products, but unless you've actually kind of got like the mindset right, then then that's almost irrelevant. The rest of the stuff you've got to have that right. You've got to have that right attitude and the mindset. Like, how have you found, or what's kind of been your sort of journey in the last couple of years in terms of developing the right mindset? I don't really know what that question is, but do you know what? I know you go to a lot of sort of trainings and courses, and you've read amazing books. Like, what's that sort of transition been for you?
In the last couple of years, it's been very different, but I've always had quite a strong mindset anyway, and that comes from my family and my parents. My parents travelled, and they didn't have the easiest of lives, but what they did do is basically give us the opportunity to do whatever we wanted to do. And, we grew up with the belief that whatever you put your mind to and whatever you want, if you truly want it, you'll find a way to get it. So, and I honestly believe that. And, we've lived to that, myself and my sisters, and it shows. And so, my sister's doing amazing things as well. And it's just a really nice place to be. But over the last couple of years, it has changed a lot because, we've got business mentors in place. The number of books we've been through is just unreal. The number of training courses, and it's a different way of progressing. And so now it's more for my own personal development as well. And it's opened up a whole new world. And, going through the books, I don't read them. I listen to a lot of books, and I make a point of at least spending half an hour every day listening to books. And, people like Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, Eckhart Tolle, that it varies considerably, but they're just all amazing. They have a very different focus, but they're all brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Totally recommend it. I love it. I love it.
I love you talking there just about your childhood, because by having that, I mean, obviously that's an amazing, from the parents and stuff, but just to have from even when you were first born, just to know that, hey, you can do stuff. I mean, that would have been a great sort of stepping stone, actually, to have that sort of ingrained in you. Like, do you think, in terms of, I don't know, we could turn this into like a parenting podcast, but do you think just having that, giving people that self-belief that actually, you can do anything, that, that just helps them, so much more by just constant belief in yourself, saying, this is possible? Because I think a lot of the time it's maybe overcoming a lot of negative headspace and a lot of negative thought patterns is actually one of our biggest hurdles. So by having that positive thinking, it must have been extremely helpful.
Oh, absolutely. I swear by it, because for me it's about, you can do anything. There are people who have done absolutely amazing things in this world. They don't have any more time, or haven't necessarily had any more opportunity at the beginning, or come from privileged backgrounds, or whatever else you want to call it. But they've done incredible things in their lives. And so it's possible to do. It's just how much you want it.
Yeah. One thing that you do a lot is you surround yourself. I mean, you go to mastermind meetings. We mentioned obviously like seminars and stuff, but you have almost like accountability calls and stuff where there'd be like 3 of us on a phone call, and everyone has to kind of say what they're going to achieve in the next week or 2 weeks, and then we call 2 weeks later, and you don't want to turn up to that phone call having not done anything, because with your tail between your legs. And so how important is creating an environment and surrounding yourself with people who do believe in you and like-minded talents and stuff where you can bounce ideas off? Has that been a really positive thing in your life?
Absolutely. And you know what, Duncan, it's not just about having people who believe in you or believe in what you're doing. It's people who have an open mind, right? Because for me, what's important, an idea that I absolutely love may not resonate with you. However, if you have an open mind about it, at least we can talk about it. And then I have an informed or I have another view in order to make my decision, right? So, and that I think is really, really important to have. And you do need to have people who do that. If you've constantly got people who, you come up with an idea, I want to create my crowdfunding platform and business. How many people do you think would sort of just come back and say, you're absolutely nuts. Why are you even considering it? You've got this other stuff. Why bother? Whereas there'll be some people who'll be really excited about it. Oh, that's a really great opportunity. And it's like, what's that about? And you just need to have positive people who are going to explore those opportunities with you. They may not agree with you, but that's okay. But for me, it's about making sure that at least you can have those conversations rather than just being cut off at the first point. And, I think there are people who get into a rut and, they're constantly presented with negative thoughts in terms of why you're doing that, or you're not good enough, or why bother with this because it's not going to get you anywhere. Why don't you just get a regular job and all of this stuff? And there's a lot of people who have to deal with that. And so for me, if there are people in that situation, the one thing I would say is go and find people who have an open mind. There's enough of them out there. And, you can go to an event where, it is about personal development, self-development, getting rid of all the cobwebs and all of that stuff. But there's enough stuff out there. If you look for it, you will find it. And I think it's critical, absolutely critical. And I love, the masterminds. One of the masterminds we do, which is, a group of people every month, without fail, we'll run through what you've been doing, what challenges you've had, how can you overcome them. And it's just such a massive uplift. It's totally worth it just for that. And you need to have that. You need to be reminded that actually it is possible. And all of these people are doing interesting, unusual things, not the norm, or having a day job. Some people do, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But they also see that there's more to life than just their sort of 9-to-5 working schedule.
Yeah, and what is your? You hear this phrase a lot, like your why. Find your why, and then the how will take care of itself. Like, what is your why? What's your motivation behind everything you do? I mean, do you have like that sort of crystal clear why, or has it changed and adapted and developed constantly, like over the years, or
It's constantly developing.
Good. Yeah. That makes me feel better. Mine's different every day. Cool.
Yeah, but the reason that's happening is because you get to a point and you think, actually, you know what, I've got there. I've got to this part, which is one of my targets. But, overall, I know I'm working to something different. And at the moment, one of the things that we really want to do is, I think I've spoken to you about this before, is we are looking at finding a way to work on, or to bring in the property aspect, which is one area that we love, and tie it into working with the homeless. So it's, that's a big why, because if we're able to tie the two together to get people off the streets and give them somewhere to live with property and the way we want to do it, then that's a massive ask. We're not there yet, but that's driving us towards it.
That's amazing. I love that. And just a couple of speed round questions to finish off. What does a fulfilled life mean to you?
Enjoying what I do, having time to do what I want to do, so it's on my terms. Being able to spend time with Davin, my family and friends, absolutely, and just making the most of the time we've got.
What is one thing our listeners can do today that will have a massive positive effect on their lives?
Work on their relationships, work with people. For me, everything I do is people focused, and that's where I think, people buy from people. People interact with people, people have relationships with people. It's all about people, right? And so there's too many people out there who think that, maybe they they are in a different place to others, and we'll treat them accordingly. I don't think that's right. You know, my one thing, and one thing that has helped me through my journey, is treating people how you would like to be treated. And it is about relationships. That's the one thing I would say to anybody. If you're setting up a business, if you want to progress yourself personally, if you want to get anywhere, work with the people and, focus on that.
That's amazing advice. I guess, yeah, if you focus, the actual business is actually almost secondary. If you focus and build those amazing relationships, then that can kind of be applied to any sort of industry. It's the people first, isn't it? Love it.
Absolutely.
And are there any books or resources which have changed or had a massive impact on you?
Steve Jobs. I absolutely loved.
I had a feeling you might say that one. I was like, in my head, I was like, I bet you anything she goes to that one.
But it's because for him, and what I've taken from the book is that his main focus for anything he did was based on the whole customer journey. And I know that, a lot of people don't agree with his or Apple's approach as it was and stuff like that. But he created some remarkable things. And I just love his approach to detail, sticking to his guns in terms of what he wants to achieve and how he wants products and services to come out. And he was totally on the ball when it came to his customers. He always put his customers and his staff first, but he wouldn't take any rubbish from anybody, but he had the vision in terms of how he could interact with both customers and his teams, and he did that really, really well. Love it. Absolutely love that book. But there are so many others. The 4-Hour Work Week, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. Richard Branson is the one I'm going through at the moment, The Virgin Way, and that's actually very interesting as well. There's too many of them, but if there was one, it would be the Steve Jobs book.
Amazing. The Walter Isaacson one, yeah?
Yes.
And finally, how can people stay in touch, find out more about you, follow you, your progress?
Twitter, Facebook, email. So Twitter, if you just look up Atuksha Poonwassie or Atuksha, you'll find me. There aren't very many Atuksha Poonwassies, you'll be glad to hear.
I'll put all these links in the show notes as well.
Yeah, same's true for Facebook and LinkedIn as well. So that's the best way to get a hold of me to start with.
Fantastic. Atuksha, thank you so much for talking to me today. It was awesome.
Thanks for your time. It's been really good talking to you, Duncan.
I really enjoyed it, and I will be seeing you probably in one of our meetings coming up soon, and I will have to have done whatever I promised.
Absolutely. And me as well.
And I'm watching you. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.